Welcome everyone for the video lecture series on Industry 4.0. Today we are going to discuss a new topic, that is data as a new resource for organization. So this topic is part of the fourth unit for the course Industry 4.0. I'm your course instructor, Mr. Prashant N. So let's get going. So to begin with, let us first look into the word data. So what is the definition of data? So if we look into the definition, it is as follows, that is, facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. So to be in much more detail, the quantities, characters, or symbols on which operations are performed by a computer, which may be stored and transmitted in the form of electrical signals and recorded on magnetic, optical, or mechanical recording media. So this is the definition of the word data. So what we need to remember is, when we talk about data, data are basically facts. They are the informations. The informations may be in the form of statistical information or non-statistical. They can be quantitative or qualitative. They may be made up of characters or symbols or numerical or combination of all. So this is what data is. So in our day-to-day life, we will come across a lot of datas. If we have to differentiate different types of datas, it's very hard, right? So because every field, everything that we do would generate certain amount of data. I'm talking from the point of view of industry. Having said that, in general, so if we look at the types of data, so this particular image, I got it from Wikipedia. So, if you look into this figure, I think the types of data, it's a very vague term to describe, or it's a very vague classification, because data is there everywhere. So it's very hard to classify the different types of data based on their application. But having said that, you can see here there is a geographical data, cultural data, scientific data, financial data, statistical, meteorological, natural, and transport. So these are broadly, you can classify different types of data. But of course, this is the classification of data is not just limited to these. So it can be furthermore classified based on the end applications. Now, when we look at the data from the industry point of view, so we have to look at the structure of the data. So that is what we are going to do now. So the structure of a data. So what is a structure of a data, or what is data structure? A data structure is a collection of data values, the relationship among them, and the functions or operations that can be applied to the data. So basically, the keywords to define the data is, it is a collection of data values, then it basically has relationship among them, relationship among the data which has been collected, and the functions or the operations that can be applied to the data. So this is basically a simple definition of data structure. Now, why data structure is important? The data structures, it is important because it helps in efficient access and modification of data. So when you have large chunk of data, if the data is arranged in a particular structure, it is easy to access the data, it is easy to access that information, and if there is any need to make some modifications, then that data structure will help that in an efficient manner. So that is what data structure is. Now let us take a simple example. So let us say I'm collecting the information or the data of a student. Now what are the information I can collect? Now I can collect the student ID, or USN, as we call it. So then we can collect the name of the students. So the name of the students will be having further discretized, or it will have further fields into first name, middle name, and last name. Then the address of the students, it may be a permanent address or a current address. So this is again discretized, maybe in terms of street, area, country, or state, or etc., like that, right? So next you have age of the student, or date of birth or age of the student. Next you have the gender of the student, right? So if I can basically structure my data in as shown in this form, which is a hierarchical structure, and this basically helps me to easily access the information of the student whenever I have to access it, right? So if we look into this particular data structure, what are the different types of data I'm looking at? So let us say ID, the student ID or USN. So this may be alphanumerical in nature, right? It may have characters, or it may have numbers, or it may be either of that case. It can be both also. So name, next is the name basically will be having obviously the characters. And then address may also have certain fields is purely characters. Certain fields may have only numbers. Let us say the pin code, it will have only the numbers. So then the age is purely a numerical data. And then the gender basically we may have the characters. So in general, when we have to describe or define the data, the things or the keywords that we need to remember is it is basically a collection of large amount of data values. So what it establishes is it establishes the relationship between them, and basically you can perform some operations on those data, right? So why we need to have data structure? We need to have data structure because of the because it will serve the purpose of efficient access or modifications. So that is what data structure is. Now the data structures, they can be classified into two types. One is structured data, the other one is unstructured data. So I'll give further examples. So let us say corporate sales. The corporate sales is a structured data. So the data can be arranged in the form of tables, right? You can basically list the number of products that you have in columns. Then you can list the number of sales, and then you can basically the profits or the losses, all those things, everything can be expressed in the form of tables. So this can be stored in a database. So this corporate sales is basically a structured data. Then you have email, tweets, etc. So these are unstructured data because they are free flowing text. They are free text, so they are not stored in the form of a table. So they are free text. That is why they are unstructured. Similarly, next you have sensor output. So you may be having collecting the information or a data from some sensors, and the output of that sensor will be in the form of structured informations. So this data can be either stored in the database or it can be streamed to some other process. So similarly, you have videos and photos. These are again unstructured data. So once we have understood this, so next I would like to take up the significance of the data. Now we all know that every operations that is performed in any industry or in any firm would generate certain amount of data, right? So a customer who is placing an order to a company, and then the company is processing the order, manufacturing certain products, and then delivering the order back to the customer. Throughout the entire value stream of the industry, there will be lot of data generation that will be taking place, right? So why data is important? The data is important because data would support managerial and professional work in terms of it will help people to make certain decisions, right? So that is why the data are important. Now, if we see, the functions that will be performed in an industry. So if you have an industry where you are manufacturing certain products, so this particular figure basically, shows the various functions that will be carried out in an industries, and this arrow mark basically shows the flow of both information or the materials from one stage to another stage. So this arrow mark indicates the flow of resources. The resources may be tangible resources such as movement of certain materials from one phase to another phase, or it can be movement of intangible resources such as, let us say, sharing the information or sharing the data, right? So if you take product development life cycle right from the product conceptualization till the maintenance and support, that is, the product will be conceptualized, then it will be designed, then it will be developed, and it will be tested, finally it will be deployed in the market, and finally you will be having customer support or maintenance team basically who are interacting with both customers and your R&D department, so that you can constantly update your product. So throughout this product life cycle, there will always be a lot of information exchange or data that is being exchanged. Every critical, crucial decision that will be taken in these phases are dependent on the data, right? So similarly, if you have a company which is developing a software, the process remains same, maybe certain terminologies will be different, right from planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing and integration, and maintenance, right? So throughout you will be sharing the information from one phase to another phase, right? So the inputs, that is the data, are the critical inputs into almost all decisions at all levels of an enterprise. So that is what I was trying to say. At every stage there will be certain critical inputs. The inputs are nothing but the data, and these are helpful in making critical decisions. So next we will look into the properties of a data. So the properties of a data as a resource. So a data is an important resource, right? So what are the properties of the data? So the first property is intangibility. So data, as we know, is intangible in nature, right? So data is intangible. However, the medium on which the data is stored is tangible. So let me say it again. For example, if I have, let us say, a paper is basically a medium which is carrying the data. So the paper can be moved from one place to another place physically, so that is a tangible resource. Whereas the data per se, data on its own, is intangible in nature, right? You cannot touch, or you cannot feel the data. So that is the first property of data. So next you have non-consumability. So what is non-consumability? So we know what is consumability. Consumability is nothing but consumables. So when a resource is being used, they will deplete, right, over a period of time. So when they deplete, they are basically known as consumables. Whereas non-consumability is non-depletion of the resource as the resource is being consumed or is being used. So data is basically non-consumable, right? So the data doesn't deplete as it is being used. So that is the second property of the data as resource. Next, shareability. So of course the data, since it can be stored in a medium, it can be easily shared. The data has to be shared, otherwise what's the point of having data? As we saw in the previous slide, so data are the critical input for every decisions that is made in an enterprise. So naturally, in order to have the data move from one place to another place, you need to share them. So that is the another property of data. So next, copyability. So the data can be copied from one point to another point. So this is very straightforward to understand. So this is very important property of data. Next, transportability. So the data can be transported from one place to another place. It may be transportation, maybe in the form of, let us say, physical transportation, or let us, when I say physical transportations, what I mean is the data which is being stored in physical medium, such as, let us say, you have CDs or pen drives or memory cards. They can be transported from one location to another locations, or data can be transferred, with the help of internet. So that is also another, or with the help of information technology. So that is another form of transportation. So it can be both. So that is one of the most important feature of, or one of the important properties of data. So next, non-fungibility. Non-fungibility is another critical property of the data as resource. Now, what is non-fungibility? So in order to understand non-fungibility, first we need to understand what is fungibility. Now, fungibility is basically a term which is used when certain resources can be replaced by some other resources. So for example, a money can be replaced by another money, right? A currency can be replaced by another currency. A food can be replaced by another food. So this interchangeability is basically referred to as fungible. Now, non-fungibility is inability to interchange the resources, right? Non-fungibility is inability to interchange the resources. So data is basically non-fungible in nature. So just to give you an example, let us say I have collected a data of a student. So I cannot replace the information that I've collected from student A with the student B, right? Because student A is different, student B is different. So that is why they are non-fungible. Now another example is, for example, if you take age and let us say height of a student. Now age and height of the students, they are two different things. They cannot be interchanged. So that is again non-fungibility, an example for non-fungibility. So that is very important, another important property of data. So next, fragility. Fragility is basically the ability of the data to be easily susceptible for destruction, right? So the data can be easily destroyed. So what I mean by that, so a data can be easily erased, right? So if it is stored in a medium, maybe whatever the medium is, maybe it's a paper or maybe some electronic mediums, whether it may be magnetic or optical, whatever it is. So the data can be easily erased or easily destroyed, and as a result, there will always be some fragility associated with data as a resource. So always we need to handle data with care. So it's always better to have multiple copies of the data, just in case by accidents, if it gets destroyed, you can replace them in the later stage. So next, you have versatility. Now versatility is basically another property of a data where the data can be used for multiple purpose. So this is one of the most important properties of data. If I have collected, let us say if I have collected information of a person, maybe I have collected information such as the age, the gender, and the profession, etc. So if I have that information, I can use that information for various different purposes. So one of the purpose may be targeted marketing. right? So I may have certain products which are in the market which are targeted at specific customers who are working in a specific domain, or who are basically working in a specific areas, who are to with the application of the products may be specific to certain professions. So if I know what is the profession of the customers, maybe I can use that data for the targeted marketing. So this property, that is versatility of the data, is, although it is very important and very useful, they are also susceptible for misuse over a long period of time. Since the data can be used for variety of purpose, it can be used for good purpose, or it can also be used for something which is not so good purpose, right? So that is another important thing that we need to keep in mind. So next, you have valuation. Now, what is valuation? Valuation is nothing but attributing the value for a data in terms of monetary nature, right? So I'm basically attributing the value to a data in monetary terms. So what do I mean by that? So for example, certain data are very confidential in nature, or they are not easily be accessible to everyone, right? So any data which is not easily accessible, obviously its value increases. And certain data you can easily purchase by the exchange of money. For example, let us say you have a data analytics company which has a lot of data in terms of how the market trend is behaving, or you may have certain forecast, or you may have certain predictions. So I, as a customer, can buy the data from you, and you will be offering me the data in exchange of money, right? So I'll be paying you so that you can give me the data. So that is basically the valuation of the data. That is the property of the data, which is in terms of monetary terms. So next you have depreciability. Now depreciability is another property of the data, where as the data is being used over a period of time, the value of the data goes on decreasing. So that is what depreciation basically means. Now, for example, let us say the value of today's newspaper, the information that is carried in today's newspaper is higher compared to that of the value of the news carried in yesterday's newspaper, right? So the value of the paper per se may not change. Paper is just a medium, whereas the the news or the information that is being carried by the newspaper obviously would have depreciated as the time progressed. So yesterday's information obviously would have much more depreciated value compared to that of today's news. So that is just an example of data as another property, another property of data when data is considered as a resource. So next, if we look into the next property, which is source. Now, obviously, the data are generated in various sources. Some various the data origin may be several, right? So the data can originate from various different places. So the source of the information or the source of the data is also critical. So because the source of the data will also determine the veracity of the data, right? So how good the how valuable or how accurate the information is, everything again depends on the origin or the source where the data is being generated, right? So that is again another property of data as resource. So next you have renewability. Renewability is another property of a data, where what is renewability implies? Renewability is basically it's the ability of the data to be renewed over a period of time. Now, as an example, let us say no, all the datas are not or are not constants, right? So, for example, if I'm collecting the information of a person, the date of birth of a person is a constant, right? The date of birth doesn't change, whereas the age of a person would would continue to change as the time progresses. So if I have collected certain informations, or if I have collected the data, then as the time progresses, I may have to renew certain informations. I may have to change the age, or I may have to change the, let us say, the height of a person. So these informations which can be changed as the time progress. So that information, updating those information is basically another property of the data, which is renewability, right? You can renew the data as the time progresses. Finally, we have one more property, which is storage. Now, this is very important property of the data. The data can be stored, and since it can be stored, it can be stored in the physical medium. It can be stored in the form of a paper, or it can be stored in an electronic medium. So because of this property, which is the storage, the data can be easily shared, or it can be easily transported to different places, etc. Right? So these are the various properties that are associated with data when the data is considered as resource. So next we will look into a topic which is known as a big data. Now, Industry 4.0 basically is an amalgamation of several technologies. So big data is one such thing which is really helping driving of Industry 4.0. So what is big data? So we have looked into what is data. So then what is big data? Now, there is no single definition across any literature for big data, but there is a common opinion, or there is a common agreement that a big data is a term for collection of data sets so large and complex that it becomes difficult to process using on-hand database management tools or traditional data processing applications. So to put it in simple terms, when the data is so huge, which makes it impossible for the traditional methods or traditional techniques to undertake these data for processing, then such type of data can be commonly referred to as big data. So the next question that would arise in everyone's mind would be, how big is big data, right? So the big question is, how big is the big data, right? It sounds funny. So how big is the big data? So when we look at the units of data, the units, we are familiar with this. So if we look into this, so terabytes, petabyte, exabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte, these are all very huge amount of data. Nowadays, even personal computers will have terabytes of memory. So obviously, we are when we talk about big data, we are discussing something which is bigger than this. So any data which is, let us say, is in the order of, let us say, petabyte to zettabyte, this is the boundaries, or this is a zone where maybe the big data comes into the picture, where the data is so huge, it basically makes it impossible for the traditional techniques or traditional data management methods to process the data, right? So maybe as we go further down the line, now we have big data. Next, we may have ultra big data or super big data. We don't know. I mean, this is just a jargon that is used in industries. But as of now, what we can simply assume as big data is something, data is in the order of, let us say, several petabytes, or maybe in the order of exabytes or zettabytes. So I hope you know what is a petabyte, exabyte, zettabytes. For example, a petabyte is 1,000 terabytes is equal to 1 petabyte, right? Similarly, 1,000 petabyte is equal to 1 exabyte. So that is how it basically progresses. So next, let us see the critical V's or 4 V's of big data. So when we look into big data, we obviously focus on certain critical points. So these critical points are as follows. The one is obviously the volume. So as I discussed in the previous slide, how big is the data that is being generated, right? So it's the size of the data. So that is important, that needs to be kept in mind. So next is obviously the variety of the data. So the different types of data that may be stored. So the data may be structured data or unstructured data. It may be a text file, or it may be an image file, or it may be a video file. We don't know. So that is the different types of data that may be being generated. So the third is the velocity, or the speed at which the data is being generated. So the data may be generating at very high speed. So that is your computers or your servers or your data management systems, your memory devices, they should be in a position to store this information or the process of this information at a particular speed. So the velocity of the data is very important. So if the data is generated very fast, and if your systems is very slow to process, then it becomes a huge problem, because you'll be having a huge queue of data to be processed. So that is another important factor. So next you have veracity of the data. Veracity basically is nothing but the trustworthiness of the data. So whatever the data that is being collected, is it does it make any sense? That is what you are going to ask. So there may be certain data which are unwanted, or the data may be cluttered in nature. So you may have to separate the junk data from the data which is valuable, which is having certain the veracity basically means the accuracy of the data in simple terms, so that you can easily trust the importance of that particular data. So that is another factor when it comes to big data. Now, of course, these 4 are the main important factors, or more 4 important points that needs to be kept in mind. But as the big data penetrates the market further, so people have come up with a lot more number of V's. So they say there are 5 different V's, 6 different V's, then they can go up to 10 different V's. So some of the other V's that people do use or do keep in mind is the value of the data, then the venue, visualization of the data, that is and then viscosity of the data. And the viscosity of the data basically implies whether the data will stick to what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, right? So that is the viscosity of the data, then variability of the data, and finally virality of the data, right? So these are the other forms of V's that are also important, but not as important as these first 4. These first 4 are very much important when it comes to big data. So next, let us look at the applications. Now, the big data is very widely used in every big firm. If we look at the top 10 sectors which are using big data to perform analytics, so here it is. So banking sector, for example, they use big data to track, fraudulent transactions or to reduce the fraudulent transactions. Healthcare is another sector where if you have to collect large amount of informations such as public health report, or if you want to identify the global spread of various virus. So I think we are living in the times of where there is a global pandemic going on around the world. So we may have to collect large amount of data from various countries. So there, definitely big data will help you to provide critical trends, the predictions and forecasts and etc. Right. So next you have manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector basically it will help, the big data will help to enhance the supply chain management. And then you have consumer, again it will help you in the supply chain management. Energy is another sector where it will help you to minimize the electricity consumptions, or it may be helping you to optimize the electricity consumptions with the help of smart meters. And then you have communication and media. So for simultaneous real-time reports of several platforms, so you can make use of big data to generate certain real-time reports, which is again critical from the point of view of decision makings. So next you have education. Education is another sector where you may have to update and upgrade prescribed literature for the rapid advancement or rapid growth. So next we have insurance. Insurance is a sector where for developing new products and handling claims through analytics. And then you have transportation. Transportation, the big data will help for better management of traffic plan, and it will also help in logistics. Then maybe sports. So to monitor the performance of individual players and teams by analysis, right? So these sectors, of course, these are top 10 sectors, but it is the big data is not just restricted to these sectors. It can be applied to any sector where there is a large chunk of data which needs to be analyzed, and a certain meaningful information is extracted out of that big data. So if we look at the general benefits of the big data for the companies and organizations, so we can simply term it in terms of creating new business solutions. So big data will open up a lot of avenues where it can create new business solutions. So it can give you solutions to the previous problems which were difficult to solve. So next, the big data may help in saving cost or improving the efficiency and comply with modern regulations. And then the big data enjoy a new resource for competitive advantage. So the application of big data in your firm will help you or will give you a competitive advantage in the market. So that is what the one of the benefits of big data is. Now, if you look at the effects of big data, so big data basically creates deep engagement with customers, and it will create operations that are optimized in nature, and it will eliminate threats and fraud in their organization. And finally, it will also help in finding and capitalizing on new resources or new sources of revenue for the company, right? So these are some of the important aspects of big data. So that's about it, and I hope you guys learn something new in this video, right? So thank you very much.